The whole first last night too. Or that That's behaviors. Boy days. I would like to call it that.
Surface. It's a pleasure to see you again. Something that I look forward to. You know how, as a student, you sit and you study. Even if you love your major and you love your classes, as you sit to study, your mind wants to be all kinds of places. And then probably when you were in freshman orientation, they suggested that you schedule your avoidance breaks, that you build things in so you don't try to just plow through and study for 12 hours just because it's Sunday. But you study for a certain number of minutes, and then you put something else in there, something that you reward yourself with, and that sort of thing, something pleasurable, something that's diversionary, and then you return to your task and find that your mind can stay focused better, fly around and desire less. This is my avoidance break. Come here is my scheduled avoidance break. This is the thing that keeps me and looking forward to something pleasurable when I'm sitting and plowing through and studying. You all have each some things that are your thing, where you're really in the zone. Something you really go, okay, I can relax and just in this. Well, this is being able to come and be with you in the mornings. That. So it's going to be heinous when we're not getting together anymore. And we're rapidly approaching being halfway done doing that. It just seems like it's just brand new and just started to me. So you and this time we have together is my source of energy. Let's pray together. Father in heaven, you provided an unprecedented example of showing us how to do the thing, how to be. And it is still difficult to figure out what we ought to do about that, what we ought to do with that. Bless us as we try to figure that out. In Jesus' name. You are. That was pretty good. I'm not sure if we performed a little mini exorcism and spirits escaping and running into the pigs. I don't know what it was. But I hope somebody's sound recording picked it up, because I think we could study that and look for voice prints. Maybe it won't even show up on the recording. That would be spooky, wouldn't it? It's like, I knew they were doing that kind of stuff over there. It's that spirituality class. I knew it. But then again, if there's no recording of it, who would be able to prove it, right? Yes, sir.
I think I talked to you before about this, the questions you have. So,
Yes, please say it.
So maybe we can have like a discussion tab that we can put out one questions and
Yes.
answers
Yes.
about the textbooks or lectures that we have.
Yes, I will start a discussion thread. What he's saying is, based on what I have done in some other classes, I'm going to put a for sale site, a discussion thread on our Canvas course shell, where you can put potential quiz and test questions for sale. And if I like them, I'll buy them. You'll be able to tell I bought them because I'll say so right in the comments, and I will say, bought and paid for, or bought, and the TA will have to pay you. My accountant will be in touch. Okay, you'll be able to tell from those. Everyone else will be able to tell because I will have said, oh, I'm buying this question. That means, yes, it definitely is going to be on the quizzes and tests.
So we try to avoid like questions that we already give certain dollars for, like
in the class?
Yeah, say for example.
No, you can use those. If you say some cool thing or you ask a cool question, I'm not going to remember necessarily. So that's a great way to make sure I don't forget some awesome thing that everyone said, oh yeah, now I understand that thing. So I'll look on there, and discussions in class are a great source of those questions. And so are the things in your book. Those are a great source of questions.
When you say buy, do you mean with Chris dollars or
I do.
like quiz points? Okay.
I do. Yes.
Will we be receiving the quizzes?
Yes, they get the quizzes back. The only thing we're waiting for is that there's some folk that have actually legitimately excused absences that didn't take it. We're waiting for them to take it, and then we'll pass them all out into keep them. And study them because they'll be on future quizzes potentially, and I promise you those quiz questions will be on the midterm.
Yeah. So another midterm's in like 2 weeks, but will we get a review for that, like a review sheet? Or
You'll have your quizzes, and you'll have the things I said I purchased, and then those things that I said, this is going to be on the midterm. You'll have those. I don't know if we'll I won't give you a review sheet though, but you should have a pretty good idea, and when you look at it, you should go, oh yeah, familiar stuff.
You were saying quizzes, questions, what are you taking around that?
We've had one so far. Fasten your seatbelt.
How many questions are you doing?
I don't know. It's typical for me. It's typical for me to have anywhere from 50 to 100 on the final, and the midterm can be anywhere from 25 to 50, somewhere in there. What? Listen carefully. Listen. Say that again. Should it be multiple choice or short answer? Put it anywhere you want. I'll rework it. And if you want to give me potential distractors, that means wrong answers with multiple choice, or you want to make something in the form of a fill in the blank or whatever, I'll turn it into, and I'll modify the distractors, and I may reword it, but the information is what I'll be buying. I sometimes will just take it word for word, but not usually.
So when we post a question, do we also say what the correct answer is?
Yes, please. And if you took it from the book, then please tell me what page it came from, so I can go right to it and check to see if I'd read it, if I'd have gotten that, or if it's too hard. Oh, great.
So, is there a limit on how many questions that you'll take or how many questions?
There is no limit. I mean, I won't take 1,000 because there's nowhere to put it. But there's no predetermined thing. I have had times where there have been like 2 people posting in some classes, and I've taken almost everything that they've given, and then I've had stuff where I've had like a dozen students that are each posting 20 or 30 questions. I no way I can afford to take all of those. So I take a fraction of the ones that are put up there, but I do. They're good. I take them.
By when do you have to have the questions submitted to you?
Before I send them to the copy center.
So that's that morning?
You can keep going because if I don't use it, I'll just put it on the next thing. Yes.
So are all quizzes gonna be how quizzes?
Every quiz is, every day that you don't get a quiz is just a break. Expect a quiz every day. That's what it says in the syllabus.
Oh, no.
Expect a quiz every single day. And if I do, I mean, I could go 3 weeks and you could have a quiz every day. You could have a quiz at the start of the class period and another quiz at the end of the class period.
So you know from the discussion where we're supposed to post like the video or the audio?
Yes.
How do we know that we're getting participation?
If you were the, what is it, first three, and you were that successfully, you are getting them, and you will be given by the TA the curse dollars. He may be doing that in batches, but don't get to that.
Okay, because I was wondering, because I don't.
Yeah, don't pay you. No worries. IRE. I'll answer that. You know. You already know. Today, or most days, when you decided what to wear, there was a point at which you picked out your clothes. There was another point at which you were in front of a mirror. Unless you got up 11 seconds before you left and you've now been awake for 9 minutes and you're trying not to seem out of breath. Unless that, and I have had those in this very room. This is the room in which I had my first QC classes in the summer of '79. The chalkboards were on that wall and the desks were turned around. They were these desks. I kid you not. They were these. Or they replaced them with identical ones. In June of 1979. And I sat consistently right where you are sitting. Or sleeping. I sat right there. I sat right there and did just exactly the same thing. Because it was at dark o'clock. It was 7:30 class. Oh. And I had already been to the cafeteria and overeaten. So I'd never in all my life had food like that. It was so good. I had never had such wonderful food as what we had. Every morning there were like scrambled eggs and hash browns and image to the beast, little sausagette things and omelets and fruit and juice and I just, so I was sitting here with a full stomach and an hour and a half of sleep under my belt, trying to stay awake during life and teachings. And then the next class period was methods of Bible study. It was a wonderful sleepy time in this room back then. And I remember in 202 Newton, and in the second south restrooms, standing before the mirror, like you did today, some of you, and then looking at what I would put on, and shaving, and doing something with my hair. And that point, it was an afro comb at that point because it was a almost shoulder width red afro. It was something to behold, and loosening again also. And I'd find pencils in the shower. It was an institution. Nevertheless, those were the 70s, still fairly. And in the 70s, we looked a certain way. We're not proud of it now, but we can go through that. And we may look back at the teens years here and say, hey, did we really do it like that? But for now, you look in the mirror and you have a purpose. It's intentional. What you're thinking. Even in the shower, you may be thinking. If there's no one else to see you, gentlemen, standing in front of the shower, you flex your muscles. Yes, you do. And you just check. If there's someone else there, you probably don't do the full-on, you don't do the full-on bodybuilder thing. But when you're by yourself, and there's no one else around, and there's a mirror, you do. You are picturing something. You are intending and hoping something when you put yourself together, whether it's putting on your makeup, or choosing your shirt, or your blouse, or doing your hair, or being in the gym. You're doing something and hoping something, intending something, imagining something, or wishing, trying something. You're trying to get people to, trying to bring about.
The gym can be a sport, not just sport.
It can be a sport, you're right. I mean, not playing basketball, I mean like when you're doing curls for the girls. That's what I mean. When you're thinking about maybe you should try a protein thing or a snack from maybe some nitric oxide or something, you need to get some more branch amino chains. Knowing smile, you look in the catalogs in the back of the book, right? Yes, there are many men going, maybe. But somewhere in some space or in some venue, somewhere in some construct, you're trying to make, what is the word? Desire. Okay. You with me? Desire. Yes. There we go. Admire. Very good. Somebody just said ire. Yeah. It's not a chiller. Right? She dumped me, he dumped me. I'm gonna look so good, and he's gonna go, well, I made a mistake. I'm mad at myself now. You right with me?
Inspire.
Inspire. Inspire.
Ask what costs you want to be on fire.
If what?
You want to be on fire.
You want to be on fire.
Without the
Or you don't want to be on fire. When I have put on turnouts and my helmet and jumped into a fire truck, I'm thinking about fire.
Are we, can I say like any word that? Perspire.
Okay. Well, that's when you're
Stretching there.
You know what's cool? You can buy a dictionary that does this. If you like writing poems and haiku and all that, and rap and word poetry, and you can actually buy a writing dictionary. It's awesome. You're right back. What are you going to expire? Help me with that. A for effort, but I think it's the minority of times when you're picking out your suicide outfit.
I didn't mind it.
Okay, he's gonna retire also. You're gonna retire. Okay, because you don't even want to have to be dressed. Now we have this puritanical notion that we can't just go out there all on natural. Or, when I was a sheriff's deputy, which identical shirt should I wear today? I like the way the patches sit on that one. You know, just put it on.
Oh, sorry. Maybe you want to change up your fashion sense, so in your brain you're gonna rewire.
You're gonna rewire.
Wow.
Conspire. Okay. If you're gonna conspire, that's like. I'm gonna wear the teal one. Okay, I'm gonna wear the teal one. So make sure you wear something that coordinates, because we want to take a double barrel approach.
I know this all has to do with attire. Like clothes.
Okay. All right. What is the part of you? What are you doing when you're looking in front of the mirror doing whichever thing that it is you're doing? Now, I'm going to say that. Oh, there's one other. I'm going to say that probably the most common ones. Now, I'm not speaking as a theologian. I'm speaking as a psychologist. All right. Probably the most common ones are. And one other that it's going to get pretty important. You're going to be looking at getting hired to better and better stuff. It's often the case that you want other people to look at you, that we want other people to look at us and admire us for the way that we look. And I think more commonly than anything, when people are getting ready in the morning, even people, you don't even care if they're attracted to you, because you're not even attracted to them. If you knew for a fact you would go to be with people that you're not even attracted to, and you never could be, you still want them to be attracted to you. No. We're done with words for now. Where is it that we're doing that thing? Where are we doing that thing? And why, if you take the case of people that, that they're not even, you don't even, there's nobody appropriate you can even see that day. Christians who travel for a living and they have a spouse at home. They're in a hotel, and they're in front of the mirror. They're preparing for a day. They're not getting home until the day after tomorrow. They're going to return right to that hotel room and go to sleep that night. Yet there's a mechanism somewhere in there when they're getting ready that makes them want to look attractive. And they also want other people to look at them and admire them. And we run sort of together, us and our appearance, which is, I realize that's an aspect of who we are, but how you feel inside when there's no one else around isn't impacted when you don't have a mirror and there's no one else there. You can feel a certain way, and you could be a beauty model, or you could be gassy to other people. It doesn't matter. It still feels exactly the same. What's going on? I'm going to suggest also that this kind of mechanism absolutely dominates our consciousness. Those three things dominates our awareness. It's just constant. Even when we're little. I cannot tell you how many times the boys in the neighborhood lived through. Just growing up, they could be 7. And I remember really clearly. You want to make sure you get an opportunity to make a muscle, pull on something so that they can see. But tiny little boy arms and muscle. It starts so early. You can be in the phase as a little boy. I can speak to being a little boy. I've talked to other people who used to be a little boy, and they concur. You can be in the phase where you're riding on your Converse shoes on the little rubber stopper part with a pin, CP for cootie protection. So you don't get cooties from the girls, but you can be in 2nd grade, but when you are putting on that shirt, that school shirt, you are thinking about what the little girls are going to say when they look at you in the line. There's not a day that goes by that we're not just obsessed with that. It's so much what we have going on. Does everyone have the attention? We've gone everywhere, and everyone's had an opportunity. Far out. I'm so glad I did not forget that in the essence of a TA, because I'm so inclined to forget things like that. I actually got it out and passed it. And remember to take it with me. Well, close. I haven't left yet. That is so dominant. And it's, for some reason, we could say, well, but reproductively, it's biologically impinging on us. It's always pressuring us and everything, so we think about that. Biologically, it's not impinging on us to want other people to admire us. We have this image we're trying to make, and we work really hard. It's like a personal PR campaign. Like we have a department set up for that with a vice president. And it's busy all the time. You could be engaged in something that's not anything like that, and that thought is still running in there somehow. An aspect of spirituality really gets fuzzy and blends, since it's been looked at by psychologists, with things that we consider psychology. There are some among us, there are some Christians, there are some Seventh-day Adventists who, if they can find that anyone else thought about it, or wrote about it, or said it, then they put it into their danger box. It goes into the off-limits things. This is spiritualism, this is Satan, this is man's way, this is worldly, this is that, this is the other thing. What a great way to excuse ourselves from doing the business of turning into better people. excuse, that is. Even self-improvement, trying to be less of a jerk. If someone wrote a book about it, and it's in the self-help section, then that's man's wisdom. We don't do that. We just read the Bible and pray, and we say we do it at home. We say we're going to do it, but mostly we just do it at church. And even then, we're thinking about something else, or holding up the bulletin when they're reading it, or whatever. Spirituality, one of the parts of spirituality is to take a look at how we actually are, where we live, and where we're aware, and we have our being. And to look at, are there some ways, are there things that can happen, or things that I can do, or that can be done to me, that can make where I live and have my being somehow inspired, somehow elevated, somehow I could make some choices about it instead of having it run me. We have tiny, tiny little suggestions in the Gospels that Jesus did some things that were aimed at that. Do you picture Jesus getting up a little extra earlier than he needed to so that he could go before the mirror and put himself together and pick a robe just this way and tie it up this way so that the people that saw him would want to have sex with him? Or look at him, admire him, and go, whoa, arms, look at his arms. Look at those pecs. Man, that carpenter dude is ripped. I'll bet he's got a wash. He's got a 10-pack. I didn't even know he was that robe. I mean, he must. He's a model. I like him to model my clothing line of robes. Is that what Jesus was after? I'm going to dress it up so everyone with the business with the high salary looks and says, look at that confident man. I'm going to hire that man. He's going to be a manager in no time. I mean, that's corporate material right there. Rising up a great while before day, Jesus went into a solitary place, or in your Green Bible, a deserted place, and there prayed. That's in Mark 1:35, page 27 in your Green Bible. Rising up a great while before day, Jesus went into a solitary or a deserted place. He went where he knew he would be alone. And there prayed. How would you like to be able, whatever that means, to be doing it exactly the same way? Exactly the same way that Jesus did it. Do you think he was wasting his time? Was it nonsense? Was it just, okay, well, that's fine. He's sort of a churchy guy. So he's kind of hanging out at the temple anyway, synagogue and all that, every Sabbath he never misses. His mom was religious. She made him religious. The Son of God and all that. Of course he's doing that, but I've got some business to care for, so I'm going to get up instead and take that extra time to make sure that I look like, so that I look. Why was he doing it? What difference did it make? Whatever he was doing, what if you could do what he was doing? If you did exactly what he did, would it have any effect on that part of you where you live and in your being? But what was he doing? Do you suppose he had a special way to do it? A magical way? A God way? And you can't do it that way. Give it a shot. Get up at 4. Or stay up until then, because sometimes he did it all night. What do you think he did when he went without eating for 40 days out in the desert alone? No human companionship for 40 days. completely engaged in this kind of stuff for 40 days. What was he doing? I remember when I was a kid, we did not go to church. We didn't do anything different in our life for it, and we weren't religious per se. My mother kind of took pride in believing in God but not being religious, and we don't do this churchy stuff until I got involved on my own in this churchy stuff, and that was to her chagrin. But she would at least come in because this had been done for her during the couple of years she lived with her grandma after she went to foster care and got abused, and the grandma came and rescued her when some neighbors happened to find out where she was, and the grandma kind of had her for a couple of years. Her grandma would come and taught her to say some prayers at night when she was going to bed, and it was, "Now I lay me down to sleep," kind of prayer. You know, little kids pray, "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep." And then whatever, you know, "If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." A lot of people say that. But my mom and her grandma didn't like the notion of contemplating on if you die before you wake. It seems morbid for a child, so they changed it. And by the time it got to me, my mom had completely raised my brothers to adulthood before I was, "Where'd you come from?" kind of thing, and she was 41. So she had lots of life experience and modified the baby prayer before it came to me. "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep." God bless everybody in the whole wide world and help them to be happy. And thank you for all the good food and help us to be good people. In Jesus' name, amen. But when I was 5, the 4-year-old Jehovah's Witness kid, Sean, who lived next door for about a year until his dad lost his job and had to go back somewhere, Oklahoma or something, I told him what I prayed at night. And he thought about that, and he suggested that I add something to it, which I did, and for the rest of my childhood I prayed this. He said, "Well, why don't you also tell Jesus that you love him?" Oh, okay. So I added that just before amen. You know? Jesus, we love you. Amen. That was it. And it was not even in the singular, it was in the collective. Just letting you know, in case you forgot, there's still some of us here that think through all that. So I prayed that. So when I first heard that Jesus got up real early in the morning to go be alone, I wondered how many times he could say his prayers. And why he would go out in the early morning and pray, "Now I lay me down to sleep." What good is that? "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep," yada, yada, yada. And then when you finish, I guess you start over. "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep." You do that. And for 40 days and 40 nights and not eating and everything, you know, so it's not even like taking a break to have breakfast or lunch or dinner, to go to the refrigerator and have snacks. You just keep praying over and over. "Now I lay me down to sleep." What's that? Then I had examples of people praying at church. When I started to go, just a few weeks before I turned 10, I started going to the Sacramento Central Seventh-day Adventist Church. And people got up in front and they prayed. Not only that, the third week I attended, I was asked if I would have the scripture and prayer for junior Sabbath school, where the 5th and 6th grade boys and girls went. So it was a guy who was actually the elder, that they had divided Sacramento up into like zip codes, and each elder had a certain number of zip codes. That was their parish. So this was the person who was the parish leader for Parish 18 in South Sacramento. And Bill Hoxton was his name. He was also one of the assistant leaders and made the program at the junior Sabbath school. So I had filled out the visitor thing and the guest book and everything when I came in, a visitor card back at the pew and all that. And I was scheduled to be baptized on September 9, 1969. 1972, but I hadn't done that. He said, would you phone me up? Because I, of course, put my phone number on there. He phoned me up and he said, Robert, this is Bill Wilson. I wanted to ask if you would have the scripture and prayer. Now, I hadn't actually gone to the junior Sabbath school. I had gone to the adult Sabbath school and sat in the adult Sabbath school doing the lessons. And when I went the first time, I went and looked, and they were putting stickers on something and having some sort of a Bible, look things up real fast, race, and they were laughing and everything. And I said, I didn't come here for that. I went over to the adult division where they were having a Bible study, and that worked for me just fine. I didn't know any of them anyway, and I didn't care. I didn't come there to make buddies. I came there to, get into the Word. And it was strange to them to have somebody that was 9 who was there alone, who was in the adult Sabbath school and, taking part in the discussion. And I'm like, doesn't he belong somewhere? So I think they conspired to get me over there and meet some people. So he called, what is the scripture and prayer? And I said, absolutely, I would love to. I would be an honor. I had no idea on God's green earth what it meant to do scripture and prayer in a Sabbath school. I wasn't even sure what a Sabbath school was. So he had left his number, and I waited until Friday night, thinking I would be able to figure out what it was. There was no internet. I couldn't go online, look it up. It was not in the dictionary or the encyclopedia to a way that made sense. I tried. I didn't have any friends that were Adventists, so I phoned him back up. Late at night, actually, I cried and I said, I was almost ready to cry. Mr. Wilson, could you tell me what is scripture and prayer? Oh, we just pick a verse in the Bible. Well, which one? Whatever one you want. Sometimes people, when they ask you, they'll tell you, but this time it's whatever one you want. It goes either way. I said, okay, I'm trying to write that down. And he says, and when you pray, just talk to God so that other people can hear you doing it. And I said, okay, do I lay down or kneel or stand or stay in my seat or go up and is there a microphone? What do I do? So he went over how it would be. He said, you just come up in the front, hold your Bible. You can kneel if you want, but you can stand if you want. Either way. Okay, so I have a choice. Either kneel or stand up. I was still trying to figure that out when I was brushing my teeth the next morning. What does it mean? But how would you do whatever that prayer stuff is? What would you do for 40 days? Why would you get up early to say, now lay me down to sleep? What was Jesus doing? Did it appear to matter? Did Jesus seem plugged into heaven? Well, shoot. Turned water, straight up water out of some big stone reservoir thing, pillar, pot. Turn it into wine. That experts were saying, where did this come from? Never had anything like this. He just did that. Okay, fill it up with water. Now serve it out, and it's wine. How do you do that? You think anyone here in the Napa area would like to be able to do that? Forget the harvest. I don't even need land, baby. Just order some bottles. Better yet, give me one bottle. I'll put it in a box, and we'll just keep taking bottles out, just like it, with whatever we want to say in the label. Talk about the Internet of Things. Somehow he knew how to cause nature to arrange things. Now, we are on the verge of being able to do that with technology, to be able to will things to happen and then have them come about. We'll understand, some people will understand, but not everybody. They'll just say, of course, it's technology. Just like they don't, honestly, is there anybody here that could not right now explain to me why in heck it heats stuff up in the microwave? You don't really know why the microwave heats things up, right? You have no idea how it works. You have no idea how it works. It's just magic to you. Most people here. There's a few of you, I know. You could tell me how it works. I know you could. And I can tell you how it works. You'd be able to. Right? You wouldn't, okay. Nobody here would be able to tell me why in heck did he stand up. Who's had physics? You know? You might be able to. Maybe a little bit. Maybe you could a little bit. I could give you a good picture of it. But when I was a little boy, in fact, when Bill Hodson asked me to do the scripture and prayer, I'd never heard of a microwave. Because nobody had them. Nobody had them. It had already been discovered, but it was not at Kmart. When you are my age, you will be able to think about something, picture it a certain way, and have it come about. Most of you are young enough that is true. You will be able to have technology that can detect the picture you're making in your mind. Just like now you could go on Google Draw and you could make a drawing of something and put it in scale units and identify which parts of it would be made of what, and you could send it to a 3D printer, and it would come out of a 3D printer the way you imagined it. All you have to do is draw it. Furthermore, we're right on the edge. We're just about there with being able to, not even just humans, even cats and dogs, being able to image what's going on in the brain precisely enough to put on a screen a picture of what you're picturing in your mind. We can do that. It's blurry, but we're about there. We're pretty close. It'll be a matter of having some technology like that eventually miniaturizes and then gets installed. And then thinking about it. And then having it go wirelessly to a device that's not a big old box, but that's able to nano-engineer things from ambient material, and it will show up, and we'll have a rational explanation for it. Jesus didn't have an electronics store where he could go buy this. He didn't go on Amazon and get gear for this. And this was not in a laboratory. He just did it. He understood something was plugged in, and people noticed that. They did know that. They weren't too interested in going out when it was still really early to a solitary place and praying. But something that Jesus did was making him different than other people. It says in Ellen White's writings that there were entire villages that were without a single sick person. Nobody was groaning in any pain. There was no pain at that moment in entire villages because he had passed through. He relieved everybody's physical suffering just because he couldn't stand up. So what was he doing to be able to do that? And could you do that? Because he said there's not a single thing that he did that we couldn't do more than that if we. In our friend, we'll talk about some of those ifs. That is a part of Christian spirituality. So you will pray. For what?
Was to celebrate wow party.
Have the environment.
For his graduation.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Now, who's going to that word? I started looking up a whole bunch of words and read.
You want to have a party or just no?
I mean, give yourself too. Yeah, give us some results. It's a race, man. I gotta be back.
You want to have a party in my house?
Yeah, or, no.
We'll find them.
Because we graduate the same month.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Same time.
Same time, yeah. And he has been here for 70 years. Never
So
home.
that's not right.
So you're gonna tell me that this summer,